Welcome to the Piece by Piece Autism Podcast with your hosts, Angie and Christy. They've worked 25 years to help Alec get the most out of life. Let them tell you how they're doing it.
Welcome back to Piece by Piece Autism Podcast. We are looking forward to a wonderful chat today with Jay, who runs Punk for Kids. Christy and I talk all about our years of experience with her youngest son, Alec. Alec has severe autism, is nonverbal, and lives in Utah in a group home setting. He continues to grow and exceed our expectations for him. He's living his best life, and we want to share what we have learned along the way. And today we're honored to have Jay share with us his experience as a father to a nonverbal autistic son as well, and tell us a little bit about his journey running Punk for Kids. So welcome, Jay, to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm excited. I'm truly grateful that you're letting me come on and share not only my story about my music, but, our journey as well with our son.
Yeah, this is exciting. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I live in New Jersey. My day job is a teacher. So I teach in a high school. I teach television production. So I teach a few different classes. Our big classes, we do a live show every day to our entire school. So that's like my day job. Music has always been like a passion hobby. So I started playing guitar when I was in middle school. And then pretty much from high school till my mid 30s, I was in bands. I've toured, I've recorded and done the whole thing. And kind of when I had our son, it kind of stopped for a little bit, but then through this, it kind of resurfaced. So it was good to kind of take your passion and turn it into maybe something a little bit more.
Yeah.
My favorite holiday is Halloween. I'm a big baseball fan, so we're recording this on opening day, which is kind of exciting. It's the start of spring. And then just like family time is our most sacred thing in our family. We truly, it's my wife, me, and my son, pretty much, all the free time we can get, we love hanging out with each other. And that usually entails going to amusement parks. So we have season passes to a couple amusement parks in our area. And that's pretty much where we are every weekend.
I was just going to ask you if your son rides all the rides at the amusement park.
He does. He is crazy. So from 4 years old, so he's very high sensory needs, right? So we kind of noticed that he loves swinging in our backyard and then did some smaller carnival stuff. But yeah, 4 years old, he was going on front row looping roller coasters.
That's awesome.
Top row pirate ship, which is kind of crazy.
Ooh.
I definitely wasn't doing that, which is awesome. My wife and I are very much ride people. We go to Hershey Park every year, just me and her, while we were dating and early in our marriage. So to have that connection with him, it's tons of fun. It's one of the, I would say, few things that, other people don't get at this age that we get, and we love it. And then I started, obviously, said kind of Punk for Kids, which we'll kind of get into more detail in a little bit.
Why did you start it? How did that come to be?
Tanner is an ABA. As a teacher in the summer, I'm the one taking him to and from school, just it logistically works. So probably 2 summers ago now, I learned very early on that whatever the first song Tanner heard in the car was a song you heard on repeat to school. And the school is probably 20, 25 minutes away from our house. Look, I'm not saying there's not good kids songs out there, good kids content. There most certainly is, Miss Rachel, she's great. Bree Reed's, Danny Go, right? But how often can you hear Baby Shark? And got incredibly old really fast. And in the course of the summer, I kept going back to the idea or the thought, why isn't there kids songs and music that I'd want to listen to? Why does it have to be that stereotypical, really corny bubblegum stuff that is kind of torturous on repeat? So I would have the idea every now and then. I kind of started come up with the idea what if punk and ska, because it's really fun upbeat music, and that could maybe work because that's what I grew up listening to. And then I kind of started fooling around a little bit on guitar with it. It was all covers first. It was just cover songs like Wheels on the Bus. And when I kind of started actually playing around with it, it works really well musically. And a lot of kid songs are 3 or 4 chords, nothing crazy. And that's honestly what pop punk and ska are. It's not Rush or Pink Floyd, not knocking that music, but it's very simplistic. The melodies are kind of catchy and childish. So it's this actually could even work musically. So then one night, I had some free time by myself in the house. So I went down to my basement. I did 5 Little Monkeys, really fast, one take in GarageBand, just to get the idea down on it. And when my wife came home, I was like, you got to hear it. and she laughed, but like a good laugh. And I was like, all right, maybe I
This
got
is
something.
it.
All right, maybe this is actually an idea. So then I kind of cleaned it up a little bit and I sent it out to people I was in bands with and like my friends. And I was like, look, I have this idea. Like I did this one song. What are your thoughts? And the general vibe was it was good. It was different for sure. That summer I did two more covers. So I did Five Little Monkeys, Down by the Bay, and Wheels on the Bus. Just kind of put it up on, iTunes and Spotify and had a social media, but did very little to promote it. I just threw it up there. Then that Halloween, I did a Halloween EP with Have You Seen the Ghost of John, which is like the darkest kid song ever written. But since we like Halloween, um, and I kind of loosely based off a couple bands I listened to, like their kind of style of ska. And then I wrote my first original song called Happy. First did Happy Skalloween, and then I was pretty adamant that everybody would know that what that was. And then my wife was like, "So how's that going with your like release?" It's like, "Yeah, it's going okay." She's like, "Do people know what it is?" It's like, "Nope." So I actually redid it real fast and did Happy Halloween, and then released that the same October. And then I did Jingle Bells for Christmas, and then it was kind of around that time my wife was like, "Look, I really love this idea. But to me, your favorite thing you've done so far is Happy Halloween, your original. It's like you've written stuff, like you played, you can write. Like I wrote a song for a wedding that I played. It's like I know you can write a song, like do original stuff. And I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I was like, I don't know what I would write about. So I was like, okay. And it was kind of like at this time, like we definitely were noticing that music was unlocking language for him. Like especially like Miss Rachel. There's this other woman, Bree Reeds. I don't know if you
Mhm.
know her. She sings like the Eric Carle books a lot. That's kind of how she started.
Okay.
Okay.
So like really I was unlocking language for him. He was definitely fully nonverbal then, really. He's definitely a little more verbal now, but he just would say stuff randomly and I would write it down. So one day he just came up to me and said Robot Cat. And I was like, all right, that's a song. So I wrote Robot Cat from Outer Space just off of that.
Oh, I love that.
Um, and then I'm like, we need something more than just like a robot cat. I'm like working. I was like, outer, because I don't know, like there's some kid songs he listens to, like one's a hamster banana, like it's all it says. So like, I was like, you don't have to make any sense. Like I'm not
Yeah.
making any point of view here.
Yeah.
Have
Um,
you ever watched Yo Gabba Gabba? There is not any sense at
yes.
all to that.
So what's interesting about Yo Gabba Gabba is the guys that started Yo Gabba Gabba were like in a ska band. I'm pretty sure that's this band called the Aquabats. So like
Okay.
there's anyway, yeah. So like it makes no sense really. A
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
kids kind of doesn't. Last winter I recorded, and I did Robot Cat, and then I did Frankie Mac and Cheese, which is my favorite.
I love that one. I love that one.
Thank you. I guess it's pretty good. But that started from. So my sister-in-law they have a dog, and Tana likes dogs, and she would send us videos of her dog Frankie eating mac and cheese, and she would do like these like silly voice, like "Hello, I'm eating my mac and cheese now," and he like loved it. Like he would laugh and like watch and repeat. So I was an obvious choice to write about, and then the other one was just like off of some like melody, kind of like he liked this doo doo song, so I started that for Penguin Party. But the kind of the thought was the right stuff that he was connecting with to kind of get him to sing along and like to
Yeah.
it. This year I did like a Halloween song, then I did a Christmas song, and now I'm pretty much back to the writing again. But it's really started because of him, just because I got really sick and tired of hearing other kids' songs.
Yeah. Okay. Can I ask you a dumb question?
There's no
What?
dumb questions.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you might think this one's dumb, but I don't know what you mean by ska.
Yeah, so ska is like a style of music. So like it's very much reggae influence. Everything is on the upbeat. So like Bob Marley is reggae, right? So like if you listen to
Hmm.
Bob Marley, so everything's on the upbeat. So ska kind of came from that. They kind of, I mean, you're going back along. It's nothing new. But
Hmm.
then when I grew up, it was known as the third wave of ska. And then got like very more heavy like punk influenced. So like the bands I grew up listening to, like this band called Real Big Fish, Less Than Jake, like the Mighty Mighty Boss Stones, No Doubt. Everybody knows No Doubt. No
Oh,
Doubt was
yeah.
originally
Hmm.
they were original ska band, even on their first like big
Okay.
album with like Spiderwebs or some ska stuff on that. And then when we had him, like it was like fun. He's like swings in our bass all the time. So it's like this is like just fun, upbeat music. So that's what
Yeah.
ska is. It's like very much reggae influenced, and it's definitely niche for sure, no doubt. But
Yeah.
uh,
That's awesome. What benefits do you think music, particularly punk and ska, provides for kids on the spectrum?
so again, kind of back, like I think it's it's fun, it's upbeat, it's catchy, right? So I think these things, at least for our son who has high sensory needs, like he wanted that fast kind of music. Um, And I don't know, like if you obviously haven't, not I'm judging, but if you ever gone to like see a ska show, like it's like there's like nothing like that energy. And I think the
Mm-hmm.
recordings do it justice. And I just think like when you hear it, it's hard not to dance along. So like when we kind of started playing music for him, you obviously play stuff you like, and he always just kind of like got super jazzed when he
Yeah.
heard like bands like that. So
Why do you think our kids love music so much? Like in general, it seems like a lot of kids on the spectrum enjoy music and it speaks to them.
I think it's pretty clear that, they hear and perceive the world differently than we do.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I was, as we were like prepping for today, I thought about that Disney short. I think it's called Loop. The premise is like it's like almost like a camp, and there's a girl who's autistic and very nonverbal, and she keeps has this her phone. She keeps playing the same sound over and over again, and she gets paired up with a boy who goes on the boat with her. And up front, he's having a really hard time communicating with her. He's pretty frustrated with her. Uh, it's worth watching. It's pretty poignant, and it's
Mhm.
just them kind of him understanding who she is in that time. But there's this part when they go underneath this bridge. He kind of understands that she likes this because how it sounds. So he takes her under this like tunnel, and has like this crazy echo effect to it, and
Mm-hmm.
she loves it, right? And I think they hear things differently than when we do. There's like any song you listen to, nothing's done by happenstance. Every guitar, every drum, every bass, everything is done with purpose, especially where it sits in your headphones. Like when I mix a song for Punk for Kids, as any artist does, like everything sits in your head a very specific way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that kids that have that more attuned sense pick up on all that stuff. I think if you ever heard a good song on headphones, it sounds pretty phenomenal. So I can only imagine that's probably amplified tenfold. Like I know our son likes. There was this time when he like kept putting his ears underwater because he liked how it sounded. So I just think like
Mhm.
those things, and then when you have music that it sounds good, I think it's just amplified, and I think they connect to things on a different level. Not being able to talk or communicate. I think how many videos have we seen online of kids who are fully nonverbal that sing along to songs? It's
Yeah.
pretty crazy, and you use a different part of your brain. Like when you're doing
Mhm.
something creative, especially with music and art, you're just using a different part of your brain. And I think even just listening to it, you're kind of tuning into that.
Mm.
Do you have any recommendations for families who maybe have children who don't seem to enjoy music?
I mean, I would never force it upon someone, right? But I think
Yeah.
that keep trying for sure. Like, again, a large part why this came about is we found that music was unlocking language for him. And I think it can do that. Um, like it's just, for some reason, it just connects with them differently than we do. And
Yeah.
I think it's part of repeat. Like a lot of it repeats. Like I don't know how your son is or was, but like he will listen to the same stuff over and over again. The first couple
Oh,
seconds of
Yes.
songs, right?
100%. Yes. You
Um,
get
All
the
the time.
first
and
10 seconds.
Over
yes,
and over.
it's a real treat sometimes.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah. It won't make you crazy at all.
Well, it's funny. Like people will hear him do things, and like we've tuned him out. Like not in a bad way, but I think you just become so immune to like it just becomes
Yeah.
background noise.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff,
Yeah.
right? But I don't know. I would say like keep at it. I think music is super powerful. I don't think you need to necessarily play it. Tanner at this point has not a whole lot of interest in playing. He'll like hit my drums every now and then, but he loves listening to it. And I would just say keep at it.
Is what you're doing anything related to music therapy? What we call like the traditional musical therapy or
And so I'd
music
say that's probably
therapy?
the hardest question you've thrown at me.
Oh,
I'm not a music therapist, so
yeah.
I don't know what they do day to day, but obviously it's more clinical based, right? Like you're using
Yeah.
music in those ways to calm. So I'd say no, just because I'm just writing silly punk rock kid songs. Like I'm not thinking about how there's definitely more conscious effort now as you go forward to some of the stuff we're doing, at least musically in a song. Like we try to like I always call it my wife kidifies it. So like I'll write a song and then I'll play it and she's like, yeah, like Jay, you're not Blink 182. Like we gotta make this more kid friendly. So like but that's why we do like some of the call and response stuff, right? So like that could, that I'm sure they do that in music therapies and stuff like that. But I would say it's just really just songs in terms of that. I'm
Mhm.
not really thinking or would I expect anyway, like what I'm doing could, you know, help calm a kid down. I don't think it shouldn't. I mean, it's probably not helping kids calm kids down for sure. Like it's very upbeat
Entertainment
music.
more
It's
so.
it's the opposite of it.
Yeah.
Like it probably don't want to play it before bed. Um, for sure.
How has your son reacted to your music sessions with him? Do you just always sing to him? Has this become a new development as he's gotten older? And does he enjoy
Yeah.
other genres other than punk?
So we'll say, yeah, he likes pretty much all music.
Okay.
My wife and I generally like the same kind of music. So, I mean, early on, we were playing that kind of stuff, but yeah, he likes everything. Like the typical kid stuff, like super simple songs. He loves all
Mm-hmm.
that stuff. He was obsessed with Bill Withers, the was one of his song, the Friend song for a while, like up front, like that would come down. If he was crying, we'd play that and he would stop crying. So yeah, like most certainly most genres that at least we played for him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, so always were playing music for him. So I guess I was started playing drums. This goes back a few years ago, and he really liked that. So we would like come down the basement. He would swing, and I would drum here and there. But now that's turned into drum game in our house, and drum game is me playing drums on repeat for like an hour, the same song. But I'd say now that Punk for Kids is going, like, yeah, there's more conscious effort in the house.
Mm-hmm.
But the drum thing he loves, like, I have to do it several times a day,
Oh,
over and
wow.
over. It's a workout. Like, and I'm not really a drummer. Like, I'm a guitarist. Like, I'm not like I can do it, but I'm not that was not my main instrument. But I probably do honestly do that now more than anything else. So yeah,
You
like
are
he's kind of
you are
taking.
a drummer now.
Yes, yes, you are.
He's
You are a
forced me
drummer now.
to, for sure.
My son is 28. He is nonverbal. He has level 3 autism, and he loves all kinds of music. The only thing I haven't really exposed him to is opera yet, but I actually think he might like it because of the
I think he
dramatic,
would love it.
you know? But so he likes anything from AC/DC all the way to these super dramatic organ recitals, solos.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what do you make of that, Mr. J?
So I think it goes back to what I said before. Like I can only imagine. Like I would go on. I mean, sure you've done it, but if you put on that organ music in headphones, I'm sure it sounds amazing, right? It's like probably so
It
full
does.
sounding, and there's such a depth of what's going on there. So I can only imagine what that probably would sound like. And I'm sure he's picking up different things in different songs. Like, AC/DC has very riffy guitar hooks that are, not just the vocals are catchy, their guitar riffs are catchy. And I think he's picking up on that. And like they're a great band, the guitar players are good. But I'm sure he's in every different thing he's listened to, he's picking up something different. Like he probably would love opera. Opera would sound probably phenomenal to him in headphones. And I guess I always think about our son never wore headphones up front. Like he wouldn't put them on. And I was like,
Yeah.
Tanner, like I think you would love it. Like, please, I put spend so much time mixing songs, like just for me, put it on. And then we got him to put it on one day for something random. And like now he'll keep headphones on. It sounds so
Cool.
much better than like the iPhone speaker.
Yeah.
Right,
Stuff
right.
like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
but to go back to that, I think every every different song he's hearing, he's probably picking up on different stuff. And, obviously you can tell the difference in styles of music.
Yeah. Do you play concerts? And what would your concert structure be? Or who do you play for? And how does that work?
Yes, I've done a couple shows. That was never a thought when it started. So I had an opportunity to play for like one of our events in our town last year, this thing called Rock the Park. So I pretty much pulled in a couple guys that I had played with. So the bass player helps me record. I call him the finisher. So he'll kind of come in the back end. He'll clean up like my bass stuff. He'll like do keyboard stuff for me. So when I got presented the opportunity, I went to him first. I was like, look, I'm asking for one show from you. Let me just try this concept. And I said, I won't do without you. Like I'm like, I definitely need you up there with me. Like we were in band. We've been playing together for like probably 15 years now. I'm like, I need you up there the first time since we haven't played in a long time. And so then I pulled in a drummer I was in a band with. So we kind of did this rehearsal. We did like 4 rehearsals. I put together like an interactive show. We gave away like air guitars, like blow up guitars. We gave out like those thunder clap sticks for some of the stuff so kids could clap along to. We for penguin party, my nephew went into an inflatable penguin costume for me, and like we
Nice.
taught the kids to dance. They did the dance. One of the covers I did was down by the bay, so we gave out watermelon slices. So my wife and I try to kind of make this interactive show. Honestly, just proof of concept to see if it would work, and it went pretty well. So I did that.
Yeah.
That was last August. Then our town is crazy for Halloween. We get like 400 plus trick-or-treaters in our neighborhood.
Oh, wow.
But like middle of it, you can't drive down the street. It's like, and everybody camps out on the end of their driveways because you can never be in your house. So we play like the same 3 songs all night, which was pretty much the most fun I've ever had playing a show. And then I just booked out 2 more shows. Actually, one's a month from today. That's for Westfield's Autism Awareness Day. So that's where I teach. I teach in this town called Westfield. So they're doing an event there. So we're playing that, but that's just acoustic. Kind of piggybacking off of something else, that you mentioned kind of off mic about loudness, right? So kind of it's an indoor
Yes.
event.
Yes.
So my wife was like, you can't have a band indoors, which is true. So I decided to do acoustic. So I was like, I'll try that. Logistically, it's way easier for me. I don't need to
Oh,
get
I
other
bet.
people involved. Trying to make it fun and interactive. That was like
Yeah.
the kind of goal for kids,
Oh,
right?
I
Because
love
like
that.
a kid doesn't know Frankie Mac and Cheese, nor can you expect them to at this stage of the game, at least. So like you had to make it fun for them, and it was all right. Like wasn't perfect by any stretch, but it proved that there were potentially something there with it.
I've noticed that a lot of kids these days who are on the spectrum wear headphones when they're out in public. And I'm wondering, at one of your concerts, do you see many children that show up with headphones that are there to dampen the sound? And
So the
what's your take on that?
Yeah, so yes, I think obviously something to think about, kind of why we decided for these indoor ones to kind of do just acoustic. It's way easier with just an acoustic guitar to control volume.
Mm.
When I had that opportunity, my wife and I talked, and it was just like, would not want a kid to get upset for that. That kind of defeat the purpose of this. So yeah, I'd say indoors, like 100% kids wear headphones more and more. Like, look, go to the food store, you see it all the
Yeah.
time, and I think again back to that thing how they're perceiving things. There was a video I saw on Instagram or TikTok a while ago of what it's like for I think a kid was walking through the mall, and it was like how they perceive all the sounds
Yeah.
around them. It was
Mm.
I
it was a
saw that.
pretty crazy uh and a kind of alarming video of like how do you function that way? Like I could never
Yeah.
function with all that
Yeah.
noise. So
My son loves to have his ears blasted off. We have to constantly be controlling the music and the level
Volume.
that he's
Yeah.
listening, the volume,
is that through the headphones or is that without the headphones?
either way. But mostly he listens through the headphones. Would you say, Angie?
Yes. Or a lot of times, if he has the device and people are around or he doesn't have headphones, he'll stick the
He'll stick it
speaker
right to
end
his
right
ear.
up to his ear.
Our
Yeah.
kid does that too. What do you do though? Like we have this volume control app for him, at least in the store, and he
Yeah.
can override it. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah.
He just, I think if you just do the volume a couple of times, and it's like we had like you can't come on, like you can't have it so loud, and I don't know, but I don't really care either.
But then when you turn a drill on or a baby's crying, it suddenly becomes, oh gosh, get me some headphones. I can't be hearing this. That's too much.
The baby
So,
crying is pretty interesting. So our kid also has an aversion to crying. So anytime he hears a kid cry, he cries. It's been
uh,
pretty much from ever. And there's a stretch at like his ABA school where the one student would cry every morning. It was like a major issue. That's interesting that your kid also has an aversion to crying. Pretty wild how much that affects them.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it's not cool that your son experienced that, but at least we're not alone in it. Like at
Yeah.
least other kids experience that too. So that's
Absolutely.
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about your son's diagnosis and how you decided on therapies to try for him and what seems to have been the best fit.
At like around 15 months, my wife kind of noticed that things were really progressing. My mom's a nurse, so she's worked with special needs kids for a long time. So kind of figured something was kind of not just clicking right. He was like not doing this typical stuff. Like there was no words. I think it was like 2021 at this point. So like after COVID was definitely still a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So we decided to do like early intervention through our state, and everything was like virtual, which I don't know, wasn't really the best fit. Like I don't know how you can judge
How-
someone virtual
Yeah, that doesn't.
who you have to adapt. So they gave us OT and speech therapy. And I don't know, it was kind of a disaster. Like they canceled a lot. The speech therapist was coming in with a mask on her face and like, look, I totally get it. Like you're going to people's houses, like, and it was still like COVID was still pretty
Yeah.
the first wave was over, but it was still like kind of scary, I guess, in that time period. So I get it, right? Like for sure, but I don't know how we're teaching a kid who can't talk to talk with a mask on. Like
Right.
it was
Yeah.
kind of, frankly,
No.
I found it silly.
Yeah.
So it was also right around this time we had made an appointment with a developmental pediatrician. He was diagnosed with, autism spectrum disorder, And then he had a speech and a global delay. All the credit goes to my wife, right? She's done 99.9% of the research. Kind of came across ABA therapy, and we've learned very early on that there are a few things in this community that are very polarizing. ABA, one of them being very polarizing. Either you're team ABA or you're pretty much team not.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is, that's fine. Like I would never judge, another family or parent. Like you have to do what's right for your kid. But we thought it could maybe work. I think honestly up front, our nervousness was around like making kids robotic in a way, right? Like you're just kind of scripting all the time. So that was definitely a
Mm-hmm.
concern, but we're like, he wasn't progressing. So like we said, why not? So we opted in home first. I think it was like legitimately the week they were going to start. My wife made a wrong turn in this town and passed by this ABA school. And my wife's like, that's pretty crazy. Like, what are the chances of making this wrong turn? They were pretty much transitioning from in-home care to like starting an actual like,
Clinic.
go-to place,
Yeah.
clinic, right? So it was early on. We met with them. We really fell in love with the clinical director. It was just like what we envisioned, like a preschool for him to be if he was going to go to potentially preschool. It was just warm environment. So we jumped on board, and he's pretty much been there ever since. So he's in kindergarten right now, but last year then we transitioned him into preschool in our school district for 2 days a week. But then we're still going to ABA. So our school district is K-8, like 80 kids. So he's in a really small class size. So we felt that was good for him.
Yeah.
And honestly, part of it was to get him to socialize with, neurotypical kids.
Yeah.
He was getting socialization at ABA, but they were all kids that were neurodivergent. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, the world's not that way. So we felt
Yeah.
that was holding him back, at least with social skills.
Yeah.
He's in a class of, there's 5 kids in this class. They just added another student this week. So there was only 4, which we thought was perfect. My wife's in a lot of autism support groups, and they're all very jealous that he's in such a small class size.
Yeah, that's
But he has
crazy.
yeah, it's all right. We are one of a kind where we live. So everything just kind of worked right for transitioning to public school.
Yeah.
Then we still go to ABA twice a week. He's definitely progressing. Like he'll go to first grade next year. It's just a perfect fit in our school district. There's definitely a culture in that school that's been handed down for decades of like, inclusion. I'm not a big fan of that word, so to speak, but it just,
Mm-hmm.
they all have buddies. They all really understand what's going on with him, and they all make an effort to say hi to him. Like there have been days and I just like get choked up seeing how kids interact with him. My neighbor's kids are amazing with him. And I saw him and I was like, hey, like, thanks to your daughters. Like they're so nice. They were like reading to him. So his favorite thing is
Mm-hmm.
books. He doesn't play with any toys. He just has books everywhere. But they try, like they high five him.
Yeah.
So it's just been a perfect fit.
Yeah.
And we've loved ABA. Like I think again, you have to do what's right for your kid, but it's clicked for him for sure. And I think, right out the gate, I'd say within the first week, he started waving. So we saw progress
Oh.
pretty fast with ABA.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it, like it plateaus, right? There's a lot of progress and nothing happens, and progress and nothing happens.
Mm-hmm.
But he would not have been where he is without that school. And they love him just as much as we do. Like it's a pretty amazing spot. And that's really just like the staff and the clinical director is just, they're amazing. We can't say enough about them. Just my take. I think there's a misconception of ABA. I think you have like old school ABA, and then I think you have kind of the newer stuff. And I think
Mm-hmm.
at least in his school, like it's super nurturing, and all the things we've heard negative about ABA, we at least in our experience in our school where he goes to his clinic, none of that we really saw.
Yeah, we still do it. We've been doing it for 26 years. So we're big believers in it just because but I can see where people think that it is not as warm and fuzzy. There is an order to things and there's procedures and when we're strict with those procedures, we get a lot of great results. And I don't know. My son, I don't know if you listened to the podcast, but we interviewed my son last week and we asked him, what did you think about us teaching you eye contact? And he said, I don't mind that you did it, but because I know now it's not a thing, they don't want to teach that as much. There's kind of some controversy about it. And he said, I just like to pull out and see the whole picture. And I thought, well, that's an interesting take on
Yeah,
it.
no doubt. Yeah, for sure.
But when he was 2, I couldn't ask him that. He didn't have the ability to communicate that, and I don't think he would have known to do that anyway. But it's whatever works for for your family. That's for
Absolutely.
sure.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
we wouldn't change it. I mean, if we could do it all over again, I think we 100% would do it again. Again, I get the robotic, like our kid obviously does scripting. Like, the best way I can describe our communication with Tanner is that he has words, right? He has a pretty extensive vocabulary. It's just that
mm,
communicative language. So if you say to him,
yeah,
did you have fun at school today? He'll repeat the question back a few times out the gate to you.
yeah,
And then he'll say, I'm like, well, did you have a good day at school today? Yes or no? And he'll usually say yes. He absolutely loves school. But if you phrase a question like, what was your favorite thing you did at school today? You'll get nothing. Like there's
Right.
yeah,
no response
yeah.
at all. And I mean, that's kind of been the thing now for a while. So that's one of the hardest parts of that. Like, he had like the new student start. So it was like trying to ask him about that. And other than like yes, no, and he'll say random stuff for sure. Like but most of it's still a lot of yes, no. He's getting a little
Sure.
better with like sentences, but definitely not full sentences. Not like a normal, you
Mm-hmm.
know, 6-year-old. But there was a moment probably like a week or so ago that we were coming out of our house and our neighbor came up and said hi to him, and he unprompted said hi back, and I was like blown away, right? Like he'd never done that before. And, I think one thing that we've learned in this journey is we celebrate everything in our household. Nothing is
Hmm.
too small to celebrate. I think
Yeah.
what this experience has made me realize is, I think parents of neurotypical kids take a lot for granted just
Hmm.
because you expect that to happen. Like your kid is going to wave, your kid is going to do all this stuff. And like you've been there, like some of that stuff just
Hmm.
never happens or it takes a long, long time to happen. So like that was a really cool moment. I went in my car right away and like texted my wife. Is like this happened. This is like pretty cool. But no other person who doesn't have a child with autism that's never would ever understand the magnitude of that moment. Right. Like that
Yeah.
was a pretty powerful moment. And like you really do have to celebrate the small things. And we do that all the time in our house.
I love
Totally
that.
agree.
What a great perspective, though, to recognize and celebrate the positive instead of getting
Hmm.
so bogged down with the hard. Because, I mean, it goes without being said that what you do day to day in raising your son is hard. What has been one of the biggest challenges for you and your wife as a parent of a child with autism?
Look, we all have challenges, right? Like,
Hmm.
my one friend has 5 kids. His challenges are just different than ours. Like, that's how I always look at it. We just have different challenges.
Yeah.
But I'd say the one is the communication.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That though he's gotten better and he is not non-fully verbal, just not being able to communicate him with regularly, it's been really hard, especially up front. Like when he was really not talking at all, like just dinner time, like not knowing he wanted to eat. It was a lot of trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the biggest challenge is definitely the communication aspect of it, of not being able to, like, I don't know, it stinks not being able to talk to your kid is a pretty gut wrenching thing.
Yeah. I
Not what
agree.
you expected when you're going to have a kid, right? You have all these ideas of what that's going to look like. And so that's a challenge. I'll go on that as in my next point. I think, when we knew we were going to have a kid, as most parents do, I think you build up in your mind what that's going to look like for yourself in terms of like doing things with your kid that you did. And I think, when we got the diagnosis, knowing that a lot of those things would probably never happen or take a long time was, hard. Like, to be honest, I don't know how you felt, but looking outside and seeing all your neighbors' kids do things your kid can't do is tough to see
Hmm.
sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't think people realize that. Like, my buddy at work, we talked the other day, and I said about throwing a ball. I said, dude, I probably will never do that with Tanner, or at least for a long time. He's like, wow, I never like thought about that. So like, it's those things that are hard. Like, I've frankly unfollowed a lot of friends on Facebook just because I'm obviously happy for them for sure, right? Like, you want to see
Yeah.
those kids, but I don't need it in my face all the time, seeing like your kid hit T-ball and run around the bases and field ground balls. And like my kid is like stimming on a swing in my
Yeah.
backyard. Right. So like
Yeah.
that's hard. And the last thing, I think it's a lonely place sometimes. And what I
Hmm.
mean by that is, we've gone to parties and most of the parties or gatherings we go with him with other kids, it's us alone in the house of the person
Hmm.
who's it is with a book or something like that. And I tell you, most times people don't come in and check in on you
Hmm.
at all. Like, and so it's a pretty lonely, lonely place sometimes. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. Like, as many challenges there is, the fact that my kid at 4 was going on roller coasters is pretty cool. So I think that it
Very.
take right. So like that's great. Like for all the challenges, it's been super rewarding. Like I would never change it. It's just that communication. Those are kind of the challenges, and I'm sure
Yeah.
you've had all those challenges in your life with your son as well, right? Like I think they're
Yeah.
pretty common for someone that's going through this.
Yeah, definitely. And our whole world changed whenever he became communicative with his letterboard. And that really marked a difference in him being able to advocate for himself, being able to give us opinions about how he wanted to spend his life. And so that I think the communication piece is like huge and
Yeah.
in so many
Yeah, I
different
mean,
ways.
our
So,
whole society is based off communication, right? Like
right.
we're talking now,
Yeah.
right? Like it all is like so.
Yeah.
Not to have had that with your kid is, there's sometimes, and it's I've also learned, like I know, like he stims a bit and hums and makes noises. It's just crazy that we know all those different tones and like what they mean, like a happy
Hmm.
one versus a sad one that most people probably would never hear the
Yeah.
difference, but we're just so in tune to that.
Yep. No, that's a
And
really
the
good
other thing I
point.
would say, he didn't sleep for the first 4.5 years of his life. So I mentioned that before. That was the worst thing I think we ever went through as people. Like they sleep, they do sleep deprivation to break people. And like I'm not gonna lie, 3 hours a night. I think we're at max 20 hours a week. Um, so that was really, really hard. And you have to function like we have jobs. Like we had to go
Yeah.
to our job every day, and you were pretty much up. Like, and we would go. It's like when he would go to bed, we'd go to bed because we only knew we were getting like 2 hours. We used to say not good night. We used to just say good nap because we were going to be up again like
Oh gosh,
two
good nap.
hours.
So how did you take care of yourself? How did your wife take care of herself through that? How old is your son again? I'm sorry, 7,
So he's
right?
6. He's 6. So he just turned
6.
He's
6 in
6.
November.
Okay.
My mom, huge help, right? So like my
Okay.
mom. So we started something early on, even before we knew he was, diagnosed. We did date night once a month.
Mm-hmm.
It's just something we've always done since we've had him. I think you
Hmm.
need it. Um, so for a long time, date nights were just like sleeping, and my mom was good. Like my mom and dad moved out closer to us after he was born. They were so they kind of live where I like work an hour from where I live, so they kind of lived in that area. So they moved out to here to help us. So if we had like one or two, I'd say like 2, 3 bed nights in a row, he would go to their house. And ironically, every time he stayed there, magically he would sleep. He
Oh
would
my gosh.
magically sleep, and we would hear about it that she has the magic fairy dust. Um, but that helped. Like, so my mom and dad would take him like huge. Like, if we didn't have that, I don't know. We often talk. I don't know what we would have done. It'd have been really, really, really bad. Um, so that's how we kind of navigated that, and that went on for like 4.5 years.
Wow. Well, we would love if you would sing one of your favorite Punk for Kids songs for us. We would love to hear.
Sure. So I will play. I'll play my favorite. So I'll play uh, Frankie Mac and Cheese. And again, just that story is it was just kind of videos that my sister-in-law would send of her dog eating mac and cheese, and somehow I turned it into a silly punk rock song.
Great.
Okay.
Whoa, no, my hunger's at a 10. I guess it's dinner time again. Cheesy smell in the air. Frankie runs down the stairs. I guess it's dinner time again. Why know just what I want? That cheese, it hits the spot. Frankie wants his mac and cheese. Why I love mac and and cheese, mac 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 and cheese. Why love mac and cheese? Save a big bite for me. Why won't I want my mac and cheese? Why love mac and cheese? Save a big bite for me. Why won't I want my mac and cheese?
Oh my gosh, that was so good. Mr. J, I love
it.
that.
That was great. Oh, I can't wait to share these with Alec. I think he is going to totally love them.
Yeah, they're right up his alley. He's going to love it. He's going
Yeah.
to love the beat and the strong beat and the snappy tune.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to love it.
It's so fun.
Where can we download your music?
So all my music is available to stream on like every musical platform. So Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon. So you can find it there. You just search it. So it's Punk, the number 4, then Kids. And all my releases are on there.
Okay.
And I'm working on new stuff. So that should hopefully come out, I don't know, end of spring, early summer.
Okay. And then what social media platforms are you on?
So I'm on Instagram and TikTok. So my handle is just the same. It's at Punk4Kids. So PUNK, the number 4, then Kids. That's the best thing anybody could do is follow me. Unfortunately, like we live in a day and age where you need followers, especially in the music space.
Yeah.
If this thing would progress any more than it is now, that you definitely, labels, it's different. So that's the biggest thing. But yeah, social media. And it's ironic because I dislike social media so much. And I have to post every day. Like every day I have to post. I don't know how people do it. Like it's like a full-time job. They come up with content.
Yeah.
It really is. It's really, really hard. And I don't understand it. Like I posted videos that I think are like, I teach videos. So like I have like I'm not great, but I like high production value for a certain extent. And then like it gets like 50 views and I'll watch some girl in her car like pointing, making no sense at text. And it gets like 30,000 views. I'm like, what am I doing
Yes.
wrong? Like
Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
that's the most disheartening thing. So I stopped. Like I've cut down on production value because it doesn't really matter, I guess, on that. But that's where they can follow me, stream my music. I have like a
Okay.
YouTube channel too. That's just at Punk for Kids TV. But I would say most stuff at this point is getting pushed through like TikTok and Instagram.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Okay, just in closing, will you tell us a little bit about Shannon Daly Memorial Fund?
Yeah, I would love to. So honestly, thanks for letting me talk about this. I think honestly, Punk for Kids is super important, but this foundation is honestly even, I think, more important than that for a family. So Shannon Daly Fund is a local foundation in New Jersey that helps families. So their story is that the family, Shannon Daly was a daughter. They lost their daughter at a young age to a disease. And the father, Tom, was playing in a basketball league at the time with his buddies. So they kind of decided in this basketball league to start a foundation in his daughter's name to keep her legacy going. And pretty much they help families that have kids with serious illness that are going through financial issues. As you know, right? Like having a kid with special needs is a large financial burden, more so than just day-to-day life. Unfortunately, that's how it is. So this foundation was started to help those families with needs. And they've been around, I think it's 20 to 25 years now, but they've given out over like $4 million. They helped out over 100 families. And they changed our life. So we met them through our OT because our son had eloped on my mom and got away. And my mom actually ran into the street after him and fell and hit her head. And we just really couldn't utilize our property for him in a safe way. And, fences are very, very expensive. So we kind of got in touch with them. They sponsor 6 or so families a year through 2 big events they do. They do a basketball game and they do a golf outing. So they sponsored us as a family for the basketball event a couple years ago and just helped us kind of really get a fence for our property and keep our property safe for him. And it sounds like just a fence, but it was like life. It changed your life. Like no lie, like that fence changed your life. It changed allowing him to play outside like a kid in a way that was safe for him, that we didn't have to like hover. Like we never wanted to be helicopter parents, but unfortunately at that, we had to kind of be for a little bit.
Yeah.
but they're really great. I become really good friends with some of the people in the foundation. We talk regularly, and they really just want to help families out. Like that's all they care about, and all the money they raise goes to help local families. If you're going to donate, I would say this would be the charity to donate. It really goes right to families. Shannonfund.org. So it's SHANNONFUND.org. And I promise you, every family that gets sponsored, you change their life dramatically.
That's incredible.
So they're really
Love
good
that.
people.
Well, we'll be sure to add all of that to our show notes, all of your Instagram and TikTok, as well as your YouTube, and most importantly, the Shannon Daly Memorial Fund website as well. Well, thank you, Mr. J, so much for being our guest today. It's been a lot of fun getting to know you and talk over your passion for music and how it's really evolved into something wonderful for so many families.
Well, I thank you. I said at the start, I'm, this is probably the first. It is the first podcast I've been on for this project. So I really appreciate you giving me a platform to talk about the project for sure, and then just share my story. It's been fun, and I've had a good time talking about it.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Well, thank you so much. That's a wrap for today's episode of Piece by Piece. If you're loving these conversations as much as we are, hit that follow button, share the show, and help us spread the word, because every piece of the story matters. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Piece by Piece Autism Podcast. That's PIECE, Piece by Piece Autism Podcast. We'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.